taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Augmented Reality podcast for October 2nd, 2019. It is the Wednesday night edition of the show. Hope everyone's having a great week. Hope we can serve to get you over the hump and through toward the weekend, talking about some fun gaming stuff here tonight. I'm here as always with the Cybsidian. How's it going tonight?
It's going pretty good. This is shaping up to be a pretty good year, so yeah.
That's good.
It's going.
Mm-hmm. It's been
and I always love it when a pet project of mine takes off. So yeah, I'm good.
Excellent. So yeah, it's been a light news week as far as the kinds of things we usually talk about. So we asked for some topics that you wanted to hear about tonight. So we'll be diving into those a little bit. But there's a little bit we can talk about with Cyberpunk 2077, and also Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Has not actually, well, it's released if you've bought these special editions of the game. Full release is a couple of days from now, but we've already seen the insane monetizations that Ubisoft has put in this game, and it's pretty insane. It's pretty insane. We'll get into that as well. And of course, put your questions and comments in the live chat. We love seeing it all there. Hello to everybody who is busy chatting. I want to shout out Terror K, who is dealing with some tough stuff right now. Thanks for being here. We are sorry to hear about the difficulty that's going on, and I don't want to speak out of place and blab it all over the internet here. But if you're in the live chat, he was talking about it a bit. So anyway, our thoughts are with you, man, and we're glad that you're here, and hopefully you can get some community support. It's really great to see, actually, just how supportive the members of this community are with each other. When we first got into this back in 2015, we were I had no idea what to expect. I pictured the internet as this hostile place, and there's definitely a lot of hostile, toxic individuals. But the community that we've built, and the community on YouTube in general, there's a lot of awesome people. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being supportive of each other and of us. Really appreciate it. And let's spend some time talking about video games and nerdy crap like that, because that's what you're all here for. So, I should say, please slam that like button if you can. And if you're listening after the fact on the audio only platforms, we're glad you're here as well. And recommend that you subscribe to the Triple S League YouTube channel to get the latest info sooner, because it takes us a little while to get the podcast up to the audio platforms. But you can listen to them there if you want. We get them up as fast as we can, but sometimes it takes us a couple of days to get the podcast processed and up to those platforms. All right, it was a lot of fun hosting the Cyberpunk 2077 community podcast on Sunday. That was a lot of fun, chatting with the Mad Queen and Last Known Meal and Neon Arcade. Had a really good time. I'm not on there often enough. Unfortunately, Sundays are a really busy day, but Cyb asked me to fill in for him, so that was really great. And we had some fun conversations about Morgan Blackhand and a variety of other things that relating to Cyberpunk 2077. I was worried we wouldn't find much to talk about because it has been slow as far as the news. CD Projekt Red's been. They've been pretty tight-lipped. There's just, a thing or two trickling out every now and then, but I don't know. Cyber, tell me if you think they're building up to something right now. I know there's a...
They're in the middle of crunch time right now, and they're really crunching hard.
Right.
It's not mandated crunch, so those of you who think that crunch is bad, don't worry. It's not mandatory. It's voluntary only. They are running into a handful of issues that are standard issues that you run into during crunch time of putting out a game. So there's things that are puzzle. You're putting together a puzzle piece, and puzzle pieces are being made like it's not like a regular puzzle. You take a regular puzzle and you cut the pieces from the picture. and therefore everything just automatically lines up, and they just roll this like big blade over top of it that cuts the actual picture. In this one, in game development, it's like you're sending pieces of the picture over to different people in different parts of a big, massive building, or sometimes in, over multiple buildings, over a city or a country or even the world. And you're getting one group to work on one piece, and you're getting a bunch of other people to work on another piece. And then when you go and you try and line those pieces up, everything has to fit, even though two of those pieces have not really been put together before, or very much, or they've undergone some recent changes, and now for some reason they don't fit together. These are all standard things in game development. Nothing to worry about overall. Let's see, what can I say? Overall, things are moving along as one would expect, with some minor problems that they're hoping to, finish and complete before the game actually ships. So, are they in a danger of delaying? No, I really don't think so. I really don't think that they're in danger of delaying. I think that for the most part, they're moving along pretty good. The release date for early 2020 is coming along nicely. There's nothing that's too dangerous as far as like screwing that up. So I think we're on point. But it is a little hectic and it is a little stressful at the moment. So until I think they kind of get into a good rhythm and fix one or two of these glaring problems, that they'll be able to, that we might not hear too much from the studio heads, because they're really trying to like micromanage some of these smaller problems that are actually good that they're micromanaging. So I would say that. So yeah,
Okay,
that's about
good.
where they're at right now. Yeah, it's
So they're really
sounds
busy.
a little convoluted, but it's not.
No, I mean, your puzzle analogy was actually, I think, quite good. It's like everyone in a different part of the company has to make one piece of this puzzle, and sometimes it amazes me that games come together at all. There are so many moving parts, so many people working on so many different aspects of it. Yeah, it's amazing that such massive projects can come together and be successful. And often, there are bugs on launch day, sometimes way too many. But yeah, the the fact that we actually get these massive video games that just work somehow together when they've have hundreds or sometimes over 1,000 people working on them is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, again, it's like I wouldn't get. I'm not wanting anybody to get worried. I just want you to understand that every game when it's being made has issues and has things and problems that they have to iron out and they have to fix, and that there's never any like instant fix for anything. Like there's just no such thing as an instant fix for the entire project.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, you have a problem over here, and it's connected to like 5 other parts of the project, and so you change something here, you have to make sure it still works with everything else. You fix one bug, it breaks something else. Lots of stuff. So yeah, stressful time. They're very busy over there, but they are still a little bit active. There's going to be an event in Germany on October 5th. That they're going to be showing the gameplay, presumably the same gameplay we've already seen. But if there's any interviews there, we might.
And there will be,
yeah, we might get some new info there.
Well, yeah, from what I'm hearing, we're going to have a couple of cool little interviews up and out. Right now, they're focusing on the scale of the world. They're showing off how up and down things are. They're showing off these amazing buildings and this what do we actually have in the thumbnail? And they're showing this stuff off, and it looks really great. And we know that not every building is scalable, but a lot of them are, and a lot of them have floors and stuff that you can go exploring in. And they really are. There really does make a really cool dungeon system, because it's like they're basically just miniature dungeons or massive dungeons, depending on the size of the building, that run straight up and straight down, and I think that's kind of cool. I think it really worked in Fallout 4. Kind of like having that downtown core where you went from building to building to building, and it's like, did I clear that dungeon? Oh, that's not the dungeon, that's the building, and yes, it functions as a dungeon. So yeah, you just look at it and you know whether or not you did or not. And I mean, just massive more scale than Fallout 4 or 76, because it's just like so much bigger. But that verticality, I mean, like, sheesh, I remember going into some zones, some areas where it's like I walk in, I walk in and I literally spend the next 2 days in that one building, and that's the sign of good map design, is when you can go into like a downtown core, spend the next 2 days like of game time, which is like 1 or 2 hours at a time, just kind of muddling around, fidgeting around in there. Not a full day, but kind of a couple hours. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
I like
know
that.
I know what you're saying. Aren't we also going to be able to experience some of the verticality on the outside of the buildings as well?
I've
I've
talked
gotten
about
the impression, that
Mhm.
you'll be able to do some wall scaling. We know there's wall running, but could we get on the top of some of these buildings like what we see in the screenshot here? By the way, this is a new screenshot that we've got on the thumbnail that they released. I think it was yesterday or very recently. Actually, here's a better version of it, or sorry, here's just the full version of it that you can see. The massive verticality of this world, and in Pacifica, you have these massive buildings that were unfinished because investors pulled out and things like that. There's this whole history behind the district, and they've got big holes in them. And I mean, if that's not opportunity to explore, in this area of the city, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. And it's always it's also really interesting when you're running around with like fall immunity too. It's like excuse me, I have a frog stuck in my throat.
You've been eating frogs again. I keep telling you.
Yeah,
Those are bad for your circuitry. They like secrete things.
you remember Underworld, the first one, the movie?
Yep.
Where Kate Beckinsale just walks off this like massive tower and falls like 15 stories or something like that, and it just lands. It just like carries on with it. It's like I like games that kind of have that when you get the augmentation. You could have it in 76, and I gotta say that was kind of a fun thing. Is like you're running around on the top of the building, either in a full suit, or or maybe you're in maybe you just have the perk or something like that, and you just like jump off the side of a cliff, and then you just like fall all the way down, and it's like cool.
That is awesome.
Just
Do
keep on
you
running.
like do you feel anxious when you're doing that? So whenever I fall a long distance in a game, I get this tightness in my stomach. It's really weird. It's
so
like
it happens with different games into different degrees. Some games like Fallout, not at all. Like not after like not once you like figure out the whole thing, like with the as long as you're wearing a frame or whatever, you just go skydiving if you want to. Had that always in the Brotherhood and Fallout Fallout 4. You get outside of the airship, and you can just jump down if you want and just fall all the way down, and just keep on walking instead of taking another like little cutscene down to the ground. It's like you just walk off if you want. But in other games, it's bloody terrifying. And then in other games, it's not even like you couldn't care less. So it's really kind of weird how some games manage to do it in a way, and I'll tell you, it's like one of the it's like the one that was the worst, which it was so many levels were like designed around it, was like the first Dark Forces.
Dark Forces.
I every single time I would have to I'd save my game 5 or 6 times, then I'd jump off the side of the building with my eyes closed, and then I'd open them, and then I'd reload, and then I'd do this until I could do it with my eyes open. Then finally I'd load it up, and then I could do the mission without constantly freaking out.
You know what I just realized would be an absolute mind bender is a new Portal game in VR.
Yeah, that's it's
And especially if they had those levels like in the original Portal games where you get flung around. Man, okay. Steam, get off your... sorry, Valve. Gabe, get off your ass. This game needs to exist. All right.
They actually have this in VR chat. There's a couple of levels that use that kind of a system.
Oh, really?
And yeah, players are creating because in VR chat it's mostly created by the community, and people are coming up with some crazy stuff and good stuff too. And that's the cool thing is they're coming up with some really, really great stuff. I only get to muddle around with it every once in a while, and I don't go visiting VR chat very often, and I think that's probably good for I think that's good for anybody's mental state. Just don't spend too much time in there. But it's really, really cool, some of the stuff that they have that they're working on. I still think that most VR is still quite a ways away. There's still a lot of stuff that you have to work on for it, but it is really kind of getting there. I think another 2 generations down the road, and we're gonna have some really, 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 really amazing stuff. But for the time being, I think we're still kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's got limits, but it will get there. Just like anything else, it'll get there. All right. So yeah, but anyway, there's this awesome new screenshot from cdpr, and I mean it's an area we've seen this before. It's Pacifica. But we get a good look at the news trucks here, the flying, whatever it is, Channel 54 news trucks. And I believe this is, I'm just going to zoom in on it a little bit here. This is the flying car that one of the gang members was shooting at in the gameplay demo, I believe. And at the time, I couldn't remember, or I couldn't figure out what it was. But yeah, I believe this is what the gang member was shooting at. So I want to read a couple of things from our chat here before we go on. Tiger Shark Madness, do we have news on the third-person cutscenes? Well, I think the news is the same as it has been for the past while. There's very few. Yeah, there's very few third-person cutscenes. Pretty much everything's going to be first person, and the exact wording was, with some exceptions, that everything's going to be first person. So that's all we know right now. That was the last update on it. Happy birthday, Notional. What are you now? 95, 96? Let us know. And then there was another message. Oh yeah, Andre Velasquez says it's going to feel like a real place, that's for sure. Talking about I believe what we're seeing in this Cyberpunk screenshot. It's going to feel like a real place, that's for sure. The only question is, how real will the rest of the world feel after I binge play this freaking thing for a week? Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, don't try don't try remote hacking vending machines or jumping off buildings. Not recommended.
No, you typically want to avoid those things.
But speaking of scary blending of virtual reality and actual reality, we have some amazing fan art from a 3D artist who revealed these images that he created on Twitter. And it's Harry1495 is the user, HARY1495 if you want to look him up. He's a 3D artist, and he created images that he said he wants to capture the feeling of opening and unboxing Cyberpunk 2077 on release day. And here's the first one here. And my goodness, does this ever look amazing?
Right.
there were people on Reddit saying, "No, you're lying. This is a photo, right?" I mean, this is seriously impressive work. There's a couple of minor things. The only thing that I thought maybe looked a little CG-ish was the wall pattern in the background. Other than that, I was like, wow, it's unbelievable. And there's like, it's the little imperfections that he adds in that just make it amazing, right? And then people were, there were people who were like, darn you, I was looking for those headphones or that Xbox controller on Amazon for like 5 minutes before I read your explanation. This was just CG. But yeah, pretty darn incredible. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. Actually, you can. Here, I'll scroll it up. You can see, he's got the actual artwork and posters and postcards and things in here. He's even got the Cyberpunk rule book there sitting underneath the headphones. The headphones do look awesome. Like, I want a pair of those, seriously. Those look amazing. If you look at, pardon me as I zoom this in very awkwardly, like the sticker down in the bottom right corner, it's even got like the corner folded up. Like, it's just got these little flaws and imperfections that just make it look so real. You even see the reflection of I believe it's the reflection of the headphones in the stickers. Just got the slight reflectiveness to it. The CD looks just absolutely real. Not a CD, but the game disc. And then this controller. I mean, people want this controller, and it was rather funny because there were commenters on Reddit saying, where can I get this? Where can I get this controller textured like this? And he was talking about, he had first thought they were talking about like they wanted the 3D model of it. But no,
course,
like
right?
People were like, no, I want this actual controller. Like, I want a physical Xbox controller that has this design on it. Because it really does look pretty sweet.
I like that he put this in the image, that this is not real. That this is,
you look in the bottom left
artistry.
there. It's just a little tag that says, "This is not real. It's a 3D art by Harry."
Yeah.
So, pretty amazing. And there's actually, now then, this came out about a month ago, but then a little while later he put out a second image, and this one is even more mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this just looks like a photo.
Yeah, it's crazy what we're going to see as far as like photo realistic technology in the near future. Like,
It's crazy and it's a little scary.
Well, I mean, just this in combined with like deepfake, it's like the future. You're never going to be able to trust anything. Like, you're never ever going to be able to trust anything, and there'll be people who, get caught doing stuff, and then they're going to go, "Oh, deepfake." No. That's a deepfake. That's a deepfake. That's a deepfake.
I'm sure they're working on forensic ways of determining, is it authentic or is it a deepfake? But still, how reliable is that going to be? But I mean, you even look at like the texture on the shirt here. Like, it looks like there's dust on things and just little smudges. Look at the carpet in the bottom left corner. Like, little scuffs and smudges and things that just make it look super real. And then like the blanket, all the folds in the blanket, it's mind-blowing. And I'm actually going to I'm gonna just scroll it up here because the picture's almost square. It's not really designed for this frame, but he's got the Wake the F Up Samurai little image taped to the bed there. I thought that was pretty clever. And actually, it made me think, like, if I didn't have kids in the house, I would probably get that audio quote of Keanu, "Wake the F Up Samurai." That would be my alarm sound in the morning.
Oh, that's actually a good idea.
But yeah, I don't want to have to explain that one to my children. Daddy, why is your phone saying bad words?
Yes, darkness. It's the internet. Yes, it's definitely not my internal audio systems.
Yeah, we don't know what to do about that. Honestly, it's very frustrating
we've been trying a lot of different fixes, and I've had the guys from Area 51 in at least a half dozen times to like tweak my settings, and it still just keeps on happening. So we're looking into other solutions.
You guys are a font of advice here. You make a bleeped version, they say, and then Terracase says the sharp bleep will actually help you wake up easier. That's true. James Fullerton, they aren't allowed to swear yet. Well, not really. How do I put it? My view on kids swearing is I'm not actually. I don't want. A lot of times kids swear just because they think because it's rebellious, and we don't shelter them too much. My daughter came and asked us, Mom, Dad, what's the F word? And we were like, okay, well, we just explained it, and just said, people consider it rude, but we've never been like, watch your mouth.
Yeah, because that's the ultimate way to
that's just gonna make them do it more, right? And it just it's not a what I don't know how to explain my thinking on this with a lot of clarity. I have never really had to explain it before, but like my daughter did say. My one daughter did swear. It was like Christmas at my in-laws or something, and she said, "Damn it" or something like that, and they were like, "Oh, you shouldn't say that. You should say darn instead of it." And I was like, if she's really that upset, why shouldn't she just say the real word? Why are we substituting it for something that's like basically just means the same thing but is supposedly more polite? I don't know. My views on swearing are complex, but.
Actually, Manny, the original term we believe is fornication under consent of the king. Because it back in the day, it's like if you committed adultery, it was usually execution. And I mean, like you might go, oh, they were prudes back then. Actually, that saved a lot of people's lives, just like a lot of people's lives because. Yeah, the amount of like diseases and stuff that would go rampant in things and stuff, it's not good. It's not good. So typically, if you were going to do that, and if you were connected to the king, then you could ask for a waiver to do it properly.
Micah Johnson, you know what? You've explained it better than I ever could have. Teaching the true value of a bad word so they don't go saying it willy-nilly. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I don't really swear a lot. But I think, like, it's not like... It's definitely become more culturally acceptable than it once was. But I'm kind of like, yeah, if you're using, like, an expletive for emphasis, that makes sense. But if I ever heard my daughter... like saying to my other kid, like, F you or whatever, well, then she'd be in trouble. But if she gets to be a teenager and something really messed up happens and she's like, that's effed up, I'm not going to, like, scold her for that. If it's not, if it starts like every other sentence contains a swear word in it, I'll be like, okay, you sound like an idiot. That doesn't, that's not impressing anybody. And, basically stop it because it's driving us crazy. But, anyway, I don't know. That's kind of where my thinking is at it. But anyway, how did we get onto that? Okay. The alarm and the wake the F up samurai. And I'm basically, censoring myself now just because the internet, the internet busybody known as the YouTube algorithm is listening in, and we don't want to have it. Could you imagine a conversation about swearing and whether or not it's a good or bad thing gets demonetized because it contains swear words? Like that's the world we live in now with the internet. It's insane. So, all right. Yeah. Anyway, these images are pretty impressive, and they were part of like the guy is a big Cyberpunk fan. but they were also part of a just a project to hone his skills and try to make a just something that's photorealistic and just create something. His exact quote was, "I want to create something that's not real and push it into reality." Yeah, push something that's not real into reality and get people's reactions to it. And people's reactions have been, "That looks awesome, and I want those headphones." So, really cool. Okay. And where did my window go? Okay, there we go. All right, so that's the intro. That's not what I want. There we go. Now we're back to the image. Okay. So, Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Game starring... what's his name? Shoot. This is why I write these things down, because then when I need to recall it, I'm never able to. But anyway, Ghost Recon Breakpoint from Ubisoft. It's coming out in a couple of days for everybody, but the advanced access version is, for people who bought the, the special editions. That's already out. Somebody, a user on Reddit, Reddit user. Sorry, Reddit user Blink8704, BLINKK8704, if you want to look him up, took screenshots of a whole ton of store pages and posted them on Reddit. Was like, look at all the things that you can buy in this game. And it's pretty insane. Like, this really pushes the limit on monetization in games. And that's really why we wanted to talk about it. I mean, we don't talk about a ton of these FPSs. John Barenthal, thank you. I love that guy. He was Shane in The Walking Dead. He's also the Punisher on Netflix. John Barenthal is amazing. I love him. So it's kind of sad that, it's associated with, this monetization garbage. But, and by the way, Micah Johnson mentioned copyright there. I was like, just going back to the previous topic for a second. It's a good thing that this guy who made these images, these CG images of the Cyberpunk stuff, it's a good thing he was a Cyberpunk fan and not a Borderlands 3 fan, or he would be in massive trouble right now. He'd probably have goons knocking on the doors. They'd be sending in those goons. Anyway, not as funny as it would have been if I brought it up at the time. But okay, so anyway, Ghost Recon Breakpoint. So among the things that you can buy in the game, of course, you can buy ghost coins. You can buy them for, it's like 7. I don't know what currency this is, but anyway, you can buy ghost coins. You can buy pretty much everything that you're able to actually collect in the game and in the game world. You can buy weapon crafting blueprints. You can then buy the crafting materials to craft those weapons. You can buy the weapon attachments. This saves you the time of actually having to go find these things in the world and, play the game, I guess. Here's the kicker, though. Skill points. You can just directly, straight up buy skill points in the store. And
this is just mental to me. It's like what? Why even bother leveling up at this point? Just pay the $550 super version and just get immediate level ups and unlock this core set of stuff that you're going to use. And then at that point, just pay somebody else to play the game while you're at it too. Because I mean, at this point, what's even the point of this stuff anymore? It's like
Well, that's not even the end of it. You can buy a battle rewards booster, which is, so the battle rewards act is like their it's like their battle pass. With the different levels, and so these reset every now and then, different seasons. You buy a battle reward booster that doubles the battle points that you've earned, during the battle rewards act. So you can buy the rewards booster, and you get twice as many points as somebody who didn't buy the rewards booster. Plus, it's retroactive. So if you get a few levels in, and then you buy it, it doubles the points you've already earned. in that Battle Rewards Act. Plus, if you don't actually want to play the game that you spent a AAA price on, you can just straight up purchase the next 5 tiers of the Battle Rewards.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
What is this?
I mean, they've been doing the same thing in Fortnite.
Play the game anymore.
They've been doing the same thing in Fortnite for a while now, and it's like, hey, and this is what I was saying. It's like, as time moves on, and as governments start clamping down on microtransactions and loot boxes, the companies all assume that just loot boxes will go, but that they'll be able to keep some version of it to keep, making money and raking in the cash, because that's just the way that they're gonna play the game. So it's just a mess.
Yeah, it's this like it just keeps going in this direction. And somebody in the conviction in the chat says they removed the skill points already. Okay, that's interesting. So they may have responded to some of the reactions and backlash, because this is not a good look for the company. It's
not just this. It's been like so many FPS games lately have just gone this way, and it's really sad. And it's like, why do they feel that they have to do this? I don't understand. So it's so disappointing.
Well, they want that money, and they know that's the unfortunate thing, is they do this because they know it'll be profitable, and it will be. You will get, there's for every 10 or so people who, don't buy anything, or maybe just buy like a few bucks worth of stuff, there's somebody who will spend thousands of dollars. And then, that works out to that's a better deal for them than if they charged all of those other 10 people $100 for the game. Like, it's unfortunate. But yeah. This is all pay-to-win stuff, too, and there's crap tons of cosmetics in there as well, but you can just buy everything that you can just go out and find in the world. Like, what is the point? There's just no level playing field anymore.
No, and this is part of the death of AAA gaming, is when you start creating so many different brackets. And then when they start creating these systems, and we've already heard about some of the systems, it's like, oh, they're going to team you up against people that are slightly better than you, that have a slightly higher win ratio, that always specialize in shooting or using a type of weapon system that is a counter to the weapon system that you use. And they'll keep flashing you with like microtransaction until you buy it. Then suddenly you're going to be put into a whole bunch of games where collectively everybody has been slightly below you, and then you're going to win, and you're going to go, oh my god, I'm winning because I'm using this new transaction, or this new item that I got, or this new this new like cosmetic piece, which is really gross, because then there'll be all these like conspiracies over like, these items actually give you a benefit. Somebody in the Fortnite community tried to prove that a little while ago by creating BS tests and stuff, which were very quickly put down by the rest of the community. It's like you don't think anybody would try to replicate your experiment? Like, sheesh. Like, you're dishonest with it, and then you're like, oh, hey, this works. Turns out it doesn't. But, it's cool.
No, we don't want to be... Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make any... There's enough real stuff that we can trash these companies for. We don't need to make up fake stuff. But it's just... I picked this as a kind of a... I kind of feel like I'm watching, the freak show in the circus, just because, this is not a game that I would normally pick up and play, but I'm looking at it and looking at the community who is, who the not the developer, but the publisher is definitely trying to take advantage of the people in this community. And I'm like, Why do you guys put up with this? But then again, where are they going to go to find the games they like to play? But
we can't forget that this is going to be this is just the first wave. The new rules now are come out with your game, put out your monetization. Sometimes wait on your monetization until after the game's been out for a few days, then put it out because by then all the reviews are out.
Yeah, and then people don't know. Yeah.
And then people are pretty much set with their reviews, scores, and that kind of stuff. And that anything after that will be considered, oh, we're being review bombed. Yeah, because you added, $10,000 worth of store items to purchase, and you're giving people no way to get access to some of this stuff. It's like, congratulations. You have gone down the road of full-on hypocrisy and stupidity to the nth degree, and it's kind of disgusting. So congratulations. And it's just gonna keep getting worse and worse and worse until the law really does come down on them. And then that's going to screw up a whole bunch of other stuff that we prefer about games. I suspect very strongly that there's going to be a huge shutdown of like adultish type games or games that have like, kind of an adult rating for whatever reason. That's going to be a thing now. And it's like,
I was just looking up the price of it. Sorry?
I said, I don't know. This is just wildly stupid.
Yeah.
For so many people to just jump into this.
The thing is that, I was just looking at the price of it. It's full AAA priced. I mean, at least with Fortnite, you've got the argument that it's a free-to-play, which doesn't necessarily excuse everything that the company does, but at least it is, you're not paying a full AAA price for the game. And then, if you want to actually keep up with everybody else, you have to put all this extra money into it. But as Darkness points out, how much is it to skip the game completely? Free? I pick that option.
Yeah.
Amen, I like that. Regis Mandrake has a good comment here. The problem is not just with the companies, it is also with people who still buy these games and the monetized content. People have a choice, they exercise the choice, and there is little we can do to dissuade them. I mean, that's very true, and that's one of the frustrating things, is that,
Yeah, well, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
And, so basically what you have is you have this scenario where there's a lot of people who buy into these sports games and the other stuff. And they're not like full-on gamers. They just play sports games and that's about it. And it's like the same, there's a whole bunch of different comparisons we could make. There was this one time where this one fellow came out from, I think it was Japan. He went out to go golfing and he paid $1,400 for the clubs and all this other money, shelled it all out, did a round of golf, and then was gonna take off and was just left all of his stuff there. And they're like, "Oh no, these clubs are yours. They're yours to keep." And he goes, "Oh really? I thought that was just the rental rate." And it's like what? It's just like you have that, and you had that as like a confusion. Now you legitimately have that in games today. It's like, and they're so tempting too. That's the other thing is that a lot of them are like, they're perfectly designed to like grab your attention and get you into it and then keep you there. And yeah. And it's
well, that's the other thing. Yeah, there are manipulative tactics that are being used and they're going to be very effective on some people. And they don't need to get everybody. They just need to get a few to make it profitable. You have the whale, the so-called whales, which is, I get that it's kind of a dehumanizing term, but I mean, what else are we going to call them? So these people that spend, thousands of dollars, and then, a bunch of other people who spend less than that, but there's more of them. I don't know. It's profitable, and that is very frustrating. Because that's why they do it. And I wonder, actually, if they're cramming this chock full of everything they can get away with because they worry that the laws might be changing. I think that might be the case too.
It is. There is movement in this direction, and we're going to see the hammer come down on a lot of these companies, justifiably so, and about time and all that other jazz. And that's disturbing, but you know, it's at this point it's the cost, right?
Yep.
So, yeah.
So,
And I mean, it's I'm at the point now where it's like okay, yeah, sure. Why, at this point, why not just have him come in and steamroll everything? Because I'm so at this point I'm so done with this, with these companies and the absolute arrogance of this stuff, and it never seems to go away, never seems to go away, and they keep making the worst choices possible, and it's just bad. It is just horrendously bad, and it's gonna keep going this way until we full on run into a massive wall, and yeah, that's not gonna be a good day when that happens.
on the plus side, EA might have some competition for worst company ever. Or wait, is that a plus side? I don't know. Might be fun to watch the drama. Just trying to look on the bright side here. Anyway, not much more to say about that. I don't know much about the game itself, but yeah, it's not our typical audience who's interested in that type of game anyway. But I mean, if we're definitely open to talking about any games you want to hear about. So yeah, we have a couple of topics to discuss that have come from our community, and we're gonna jump into right away. First of all, though, I just want to say we love seeing everybody so active in the live chat. Thank you for your feedback, your questions, your comments. We love reading them. If you do want to keep the conversations going after the live broadcast, please do join our Discord server. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us and other Triple S community members about all the things we love to talk about. Stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. Click the link below to join, and be sure to say hi to us in the welcome channel. All right. So, going to go through some things that were put in our content requests channel over the last little while. Can't get to everything, unfortunately, but we're definitely going to, we definitely try. And when we do know about, about the topics you're asking about, we definitely try to get the info out if we can, or look up the relevant news. Somebody asked about Once Lost Games, and this was a studio I had not heard of, but I looked it up, and it sounds really interesting. Now, let me see if I could find who it was here. It was Scadrill, a regular on our community. I haven't seen him in the chat tonight, but so Once Lost Games is a studio. It looks like a fairly small studio, but they're going to be putting out a game in the near future. But they describe themselves as an independent game development studio dedicated to reinvigorating the role-playing game genre with much-needed new ideas. Founded by veterans of 2 generations of gaming enthusiasts and experts, we aim to meet the gap between the deep, complex design pillars of games from the 1990s with the production values, improved controls, and quality of life features in games today. We're hard at work on our debut role-playing game title, which will be a massive open-world fantasy adventure and will boast revolutionary technology and game design by some of the most celebrated veterans of computer gaming, who have created multiple Game of the Year winning titles. And then, by the way, their website is oncelostgames.com, and if you look at their founders and their team, I don't know if this is their entire team. It probably isn't, but you scroll down on the main page to the section that says Meet Our Founders. You got Ted Peterson, Julian LaFay, Ian Phoenix, and Vijay Lakshman, all of whom, with the exception of Ian Phoenix, actually, but 3 of these guys have all worked on Elder Scrolls games. So it looks like we've got a studio that is packed with former Bethesda employees. And I found that really interesting, because this kind of sounds like some other studios we've talked about. We've got Fogbank, full of employees, former BioWare employees. There's another studio I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention, but that we know of that has a lot of former BioWare talent. And then you had the studio that put out Greedfall just recently, Spiders. They cited BioWare and these, sort of the classic BioWare RPG style of game as their inspiration for creating Greedfall, and they got pretty darn close to achieving their goal, in my opinion. And so when it says here that Once Lost Games is going to be, wanting to achieve the deep, complex design pillars of games from the 90s and pairing that with, the technical mechanics of today, that sounds really awesome. And then you see that they're, former BioWare Bethesda employees that worked on Elder Scrolls games, and like Daggerfall, like going back to Daggerfall and Elder Scrolls Arena. Daggerfall is one of my favorite games ever. Daggerfall is amazing. But Ted Peterson, the design director, he worked on Elder Scrolls from Arena all the way to Oblivion, and did tons of writing for the series, did story, world building, and book writing, and stuff like that. Vijay Lakshman was lead design and producer for Elder Scrolls Arena, and Julian LaFay was director of the Elder Scrolls Arena, Daggerfall, and Battlespire. So he's got the nickname the father of the Elder Scrolls. So I'm very interested to see what these guys come up with. I had never heard of this studio, so thank you, Scadril, for pointing them out and for asking that question. So yeah, we will be keeping our eye on this, see what they come up with. So I find that pretty fascinating. So, I don't know. Might we have a reincarnated Bethesda studio? Kind of like how we've got BioWare being...
And that'll be very interesting if that comes about. Now, there is some other Skyrim-like games that are on the horizon. There's one coming out that's going to hit a type of fundraiser, a Patreon announcement / whatever Kickstarter thing. That's gonna be coming out soon. TM. Originally it was planned for October, but that may have changed here. But yeah, there's some other cool projects that are coming up, and we'll see kind of where that goes. But this will be interesting because this will be the first like full on like ex Bethesda team studio, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from there. Sometimes this stuff goes over really, really well. Other times, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Other times, not so much.
We'll have to see. I mean, it's no guarantee they're going to create an amazing game, but it is really interesting how we're seeing these smaller studios popping up that have very experienced talent from very large studios that had a golden age, back a number of years ago, and did some very interesting, innovative things, and studios that created the likes of the Elder Scrolls and Mass Effect, but have gone in, those studios have gone in not so good directions, but some of the former talent are still trying to create things on their own. Yeah. So that's really interesting. All right. Thank you, everybody who is smashing that like button. Manny Calavera. Andre Velasquez dropped a toilet from the roof on that like button. Hey, whatever floats your boat, man. James Fullerton asks, any info on David Gator and Summerfall Studios? You know anything about that?
Nothing yet. Mostly due to stuff. I think that's how I can leave that.
That literally makes no sense, but okay. So nothing to report. Okay.
Yeah. We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Nothing.
Yeah,
We'll go with the nothing to report. Okay. XMEX asked a while back in our content requests, any news from Rocksteady Studios? Are you aware of anything that they're working on? Since it's been a while, we've heard from them.
Again, it's like, not really. No, been trying to get some like solid footing at actually most of these studios. Constantly I'm looking to find ways to get that rolling, but no, not on that, not at the moment at least.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, like I said, unfortunately we don't and we don't have info on everything. Trauma Sentry had asked us to take a look at Surge 2, and I've been wanting to, just have not had the time for it. Hopefully we will in the near future, but there's a couple of games.
It looks really interesting. I'll say that for sure. Like, it legit looks really, really, really interesting. And hopefully it'll be kind of doing a little bit better. Right now they've had, I guess it's kind of had a little bit of a rough launch. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm really hoping to get into that because I'm really, really curious as to how they've run with that. I'm still wanting to get really into Planetfall. Code Vein came out just recently. Really want to give that a shot because it's been having a fun time in the press. It's like tons of people absolutely hate it because of like artistic style and choice, which is, I mean, like,
well, I mean, it's
whatever,
their prerogative, I guess.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of chatter about Code Vein as well. So yeah, we'll check that one out if we have a chance.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you hope that these things run really well, and you hope that everything like matches out, but that's not always the case. Things don't always go smoothly.
Yeah, unfortunately. Anyway, Surge 2 definitely, like, the combat looks really interesting in it. So I do want to, as soon as I get a chance, I do want to check it out. But Double Asterisks has a comment here I want to read. Developers used to put their own money into a game they wanted to make and manage their project well. Now it's a lot of give me money and maybe we'll make this Kickstarter kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kickstarter is a double-edged sword.
It really is, and I mean, I need to point this out. It's like, okay, in the past, we've had problems with this before, and one of the best examples is Firefall. It's like Firefall came out, and it's like, hey guys, this is basically gonna be like WoW. You're gonna have this big open world, and you're gonna be like running around killing bugs, and then you're gonna like get loot drops. You take the loot back, and you like equip it, and it'll be really cool, and you just get new stuff. And then, like, 3 years into development of, like, the open beta, they said, oh, hey, we're doing away with that system because you know what people want? People want shooters. They want an arena shooter that basically they came up with, like, Overwatch before they realized it was Overwatch. But they put all this, like, crazy, ridiculous, over-the-top balancing into the thing. And it was just like, dear Lord, why? Like, legitimately, it was one of the dumbest choices ever in gaming. Such a disappointment.
Yes, that shows the downside of it. Mm-hmm. On the plus side, it enables somebody who has the idea and the skills but doesn't have the money. It enables a lot of good projects. On the other hand, backers can get screwed. Mm-hmm. We've seen that. I mean, it can range anywhere from, the people just running off with the money and not creating anything to, yeah, they put something out, but it's nothing like what they promised. And that is one of the complaints that is being leveled at Cube World right now, which just came out. It's been a Kickstarter project that's been in development for 6 years, I believe, or longer. Mm-hmm. And apparently,
and that's where you're entering the danger zone.
Yeah.
If you pass 6 years and you have not released your game yet, there is something massively wrong there, and there's a chance that every year you wait after that increases the chance that the game will never ever see release. And I tell this to a lot of indie projects. It's like, at some point you just need to put this game out and get people playing it, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to put it out broken because you only get one shot at release. But if you keep on it and you keep sitting on it until the end of all time, well, then it can become a rotten egg. And there's one thing you don't want to smell, and that's a rotten egg. Mm-hmm. It's just not a good thing.
Right. But in a lot of, I mean, it seems like a lot of people who have been, who were backing Cube World over the past number of years were very disappointed with this final release, and there's complaints of it having less features than the alpha version, and that just things really changed, and it was not the game they were expecting in a lot of ways. And it's the reviews on Steam are mixed. There's some people saying no, it's really good still, but a lot of people are saying this is not what we were promised. This was not what was in the the demos that we played, that kind of a thing. So again, yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You might not get what you were expecting. Plus, then you have, and this was the case with Cube World, the developer just kind of dropped off the map and didn't communicate anything for the longest time. So,
yeah, that happens. That happens a lot. I can't tell you how many times I come across abandonware, where it's like, why was this abandoned? Oh, the person working on it got tired. It's like, what? What? Why?
That's the thing,
It
yeah.
was
Follow
so
through.
good.
Follow through is super important. Follow through is a very important skill to learn, and that is actually it's one thing I credit toward my my previous employment before I started, doing YouTube with Cyb here. I was working for a company. I had the skills from I'd been doing digital media basically all my life. I didn't know that's what it was called, but it's just what I do. I have always made digital graphics and videos and animations and things and recordings. It's stuff I love doing, have been doing it since I was a kid. My wife, we weren't married at the time, but she saw me doing this one day. I made this animated 3D chessboard, and she was like, "Why don't you go to school for this?" I was like, never thought of that, but okay. So I did. And then I got hired by a company where they put me to work on really massive projects. And that is where I learned follow through. Because no longer was it just I can, it's not just, I have to have this assignment done in a week or a month. But this is something that I'm going to be working on for the better part of a year or longer. I can't overstate how grateful I am that I got that opportunity to develop that skill of sticking with a project for a very long time before you see anything from it, before you see any results from it. So anyway, there's my life tidbit for the day. But yeah, that's an important skill. You want to get into game development, make sure you have follow through, right? Especially if you're an indie developer, you're doing most of the things yourself, you're looking at spending a few years building a game. Yeah, you might have the greatest idea in the world, but if you can't take it from the midpoint of development and push it through to the end, and that's the hardest part, because that's where you're iterating, that's where you're, you've been just engrossed in this for so long, and you feel like you can't see the end of it. But you just keep pushing because you know that you will get there. Very important skill. All right. What else were we going to talk about? Oh yeah. So anyway, Xenova on our Discord server asked about Cube World. Also asked about Noita. Now I had never heard of this game, Noita, but it just released. I'm going to buy this game. It looks frickin' amazing. It's a 2D it looks like a platformer combat puzzle action kind of a game, but the thing with it, the gimmick with it, is that every pixel on the screen, so it's like a pixel art thing, but every pixel is physically rendered. Like everything you see on the screen has particle physics, basically. So the water particles, the ground. So I was watching the trailer on Steam. I was like, how has nobody ever done this before? Because, you see the character blasting through, rocks, and everything is fully full physics rigged. So the little rock particles are skittering down, and then the big chunk of the rock falls off and stuff, and you can blast things out of the ceiling to fall on your enemies. There's water. You can blast through the water container, and then the water spills out and fills all the crevices. And so I think, Xenovo called it powder physics, but and there's been games like this before, but they've been really small concepts, little flash games and things. But this looks really cool. So it's called Noita or Noita. I'm not entirely sure, but it's spelled Noita. If you want to check that out on Steam, I'm going to be checking it out because it looks like a blast.
Good.
Yeah, Niv Aussie.
There was another game that came out just recently that I was checking out. It was really, really, in fact, Big Man Tyrone. He is officially announced that he's behind this game, and not that he's making it, that he's just supporting that. It's a good one. At first, I thought, wow, so many cool like new screenshots of Cyberpunk, and I was like, wow, they're really keeping with that adult theme. And then I was like, what is that? What is that character doing? Oh, this isn't Cyberpunk 2077. This is a adult Cyberpunk like romance game. So basically, it's like
One of those weird romance combat fighting hybrids.
Yeah. So it's like, so basically they took like all of the great stuff about Cyberpunk and they've just kind of like thrown it in with like a dating simulator because, that's just the way that we're doing things now. So, this is, so I was like, huh, well, that's interesting. I don't know why they like seriously. This is the future of gaming, everybody. This is definitely the future of gaming. Absolutely. At this point, this is what we're going to be playing everybody's going to be playing this kind of stuff in like 5 or 6 years from now. Just wait and see. It'll follow the immediate fall of like the all the big gaming companies.
No,
except for a handful.
I will cease gaming before I start playing dating simulators.
The dating sim, the date. So I was in town, saw a dude dressed as the guy from the KFC dating simulator game that came out.
KFC dating sim, yeah, Date the Colonel or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and it was like I am not joking. The dude was probably in his 70s, I think. Pure white hair, really old looking. I don't know if he had dressed like this purposely or if he had done so accidentally. I couldn't figure it out. And I just watched him like walk across this parking lot and I'm like, huh. Well, that's a thing. I'm like, should I take a picture? Nah. I don't know if I want to be like on the record as having been here at this moment. This is really bizarre. So, I mean, I'm just saying, dating simulator, blah, blah, blah. Dating simulators are obviously the wave of the future. Pretty much all games will have them. And really, when we think about it, isn't that why we were all playing Dragon Age and Mass Effect anyways?
No.
So.
No, it most definitely was not for me. And I'm not knocking it if that's your thing. But if they want, like, it's like romance quests in games. They're all so awful and shallow. Like, I've experienced good romance in video games before, but that's where it's written as part of the story. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that doesn't offer you a ton of freedom necessarily as an RPG. So I mean, maybe if they get better, it's something I'll be more into. But like the romance quests in Greedfall were awful. They were just pick the right dialogue and then you get a little pre-boning romance animation. And it's the same in Mass Effect, it's the same in Kingdom Come Deliverance, it's the same everywhere. I really loved I loved the romance between like in Metro Exodus between Artyom and his wife Anna. It was very well done. And it wasn't like in your face romance, but just the relationship between those two characters I really, really enjoyed that that aspect of the story. And you know, it was similar in Wolfenstein. I know people kind of laugh at me sometimes when I say I enjoyed the romance in Wolfenstein, but between wasn't her name Anna too? What is it with Annas in these games? But yeah, between the main character there, what's his name? BJ Blazkowicz. Also some really funny moments when they're, you know, boning in the bathroom. Anyway, on to, yes, Niv Ozzy said that, Noita game sounds resource intensive. It might be, I don't know how, I mean, the thing about it is it's two-dimensional and the pixels are large, it's a retro graphics kind of pixel thing. So the pixels are relatively large. So that cuts down on the number of pixels that have to be rendered and the physics that have to be rendered. And there's probably other, you know, optimizations they've put in as well. But I'll let you know. Like I said, I'm definitely going to check it out, and I'll see how it works. Speaking of Niv Ozzy, though, Niv Ozzy asked, is there any more news of the French/Mafia/Epic Alliance against Steam? I think you're talking about the...
Yeah.
So there was that France...
I don't think
French ruling.
I don't think we've heard the end of this yet. Not by a long shot. We've got a long. This story is going to go for a long, long time. Yeah. This is like I don't know how else to put it. It's like they have to fight this with everything that they have, and or they're gonna have to like basically cut off France from availability as far as like content and what. So yeah, that's that's kind of what I'm looking at. Is it's like it's clear that this isn't going to last. This whole setup seems, again, I'm not a conspiracy nut, but this whole setup does seem really suspicious with the timing, with who's being targeted, with who's not being targeted, with a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on, and it might not stick or stay, but something's going to give. Something has to give. Otherwise, this is not going to work. So, yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Micah Johnson, Zofia is actually the name of BJ Blazkowicz's mother. I just looked it up. His wife in those games is named Anya, so it is close to Anna. So I was wrong, but I was close. I like some of these comments here. Anthony Sarber says, "Romance in Skyrim, wear a necklace." Indeed.
Yeah. Right. Right. It's so hilarious. It's so hilarious because it's true. It's like, oh, I really like you. Here, allow me to put on this necklace, and oh well, now I've noticed you, good sir, or madam, and or frequently rotates between them somehow. It's like you look like you look like you're pretty cool. It's like,
right. And then Andre Velasquez says Geralt and Yennefer take the cake as far as in-game romance missions. I would say those are some of the best I've seen.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
They actually they were really well done, and especially even, I know this is kind of, I don't know, maybe sounds kind of a weird thing to notice, but where Geralt kisses Yennefer, or it's Yennefer at the beginning of Witcher 3. It was really well animated. It didn't look like two characters just mashing their faces together like it usually looks like, excuse me, in a video game. I still felt they were kind of shallow in terms of it just comes down to you make a particular series of choices that in a particular order, and then you get a boning scene. Like, I don't know.
But
they were definitely the best.
I have tried to follow this exact process as far as like the whole courtship process that humans seem to be so fond of. And I just really don't get it. So yeah.
Anthony Sarber says, I wonder if the sexy times in Cyberpunk 2077 are motion captured. LOL. Awkward.
Well,
Like,
some of them were. Remember, we saw one of that. What was it? The Yennefer scene. It was one of the scenes where it was like the two were like
in The Witcher, yeah.
yeah, and it's like those that was acted out by an actual couple, and that's actually kind of funny because it's a couple doing it. It's also kind of yeah, it's kind of funny. There's other shows, so like there's other shows that use motion capture where they have to like capture some stuff. Typically, the people doing the motion capture are nerdy white guys, and let's just say there's some really funny scenes that you go, huh? I wonder how that filming day went. It's like
Yeah.
it's like wow, interesting.
Oh, yeah. There's funny stories of the actors in the Beowulf movie. Because, there was Angelina Jolie, of course, who is, I'm told, a very attractive woman. And
Yeah, I've been told that before too.
have also, would agree, having seen her myself. But then the actor playing Beowulf. And, of course, they're motion capturing in skin-tight suits. And he also happened to notice how attractive she was, apparently. This is the rumor. And, it was obvious. It was very obvious. So, let me see what else I had a couple of other things I wanted to talk about, I think. Or did we talk about it all already? Once Lost Games, Noita, Cube World. I think that's everything. I do have one final thing I wanted to read, and it's kind of a fun article I found. But did you have anything else you wanted to talk about, Cyb?
No, I'm good. It's been a really long day, so.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Well, as I was doing my research, I just stumbled across this article. It's on PC Gamer. It's called "The Story Behind Liberty Island: Deus Ex's Most Iconic Level." Deus Ex is one of my favorite games of all time. The original Deus Ex, as I've mentioned it a lot of times before. It hasn't aged well in terms of controls and mechanics, but the game design and like the missions and stuff, like just how everything besides that, it was like a super fantastic game. It's one of my favorites. And so I found this article, "The Story Behind Liberty Island, Deus Ex's Most Iconic Level," and it was quite funny because this game came out 20 years ago. So I just want to read a couple of paragraphs here. Since its release in the summer of 1999, Deus Ex has become one of the most beloved games on PC. Since set in a bleak cyberpunk future, Ion Storm's ambitious first-person RPG, which was directed by Warren Spector, features deep systems, sprawling levels, emergent play, and a thrilling conspiracy-laden plot. But one afternoon in Austin, Texas, where the game was developed, designer Harvey Smith and other members of the team were convinced that the game they'd been working on for years was destined for failure. "We brought in Caroline Spector, Warren's wife, and she was the first person outside of the team to play it," says Smith. "She got off the boat at the dock, and she picked up a box and threw it into the water. She got into the water and swam around. She tried to interact with a seagull. Then she tried to float on top of a crate." Then the quote ends there, and the article says, "It's worth noting that in 1999, being able to manipulate physics objects like this in a realistic simulated world was more of a novelty, and so this experimentation continued for 20 minutes as Harvey and the others watched over her shoulder, suddenly filled with dread. We were gnashing our teeth," remembers Smith. "We were like, God, we've effing failed. She's not even starting the mission. She's just screwing around on the dock with all the stuff I put on there." But then, suddenly, she turned to the anxious developers and told them in no uncertain terms that this was the most fun she'd ever had playing a game. "We were like, holy crap, she enjoyed that? So we just doubled down on these quiet moments in the levels and the object physics. We already believed in these things ourselves, but it was very validating to hear it from somebody else." Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really cool.
No, I mean that's a good take at how game development works. When real ideas are just found naturally.
Yeah.
Because you do not find this stuff by sticking to a formula and then being closed-minded as far as what you want to do or how you want to react or how you want to do anything. It's like it's always better to experiment. It's always better to try new things. It's always better to bring out some outside ideas and get somebody to try them. I think it was this kind of funny moment I think this is a few years ago, where it's like somebody was in a virtual reality test kit, and it was a woman, and she took the head thing off, and she goes, I didn't think I would miss it, but I think one of the things that makes me nauseous is the fact that I don't see my nose in the VR. And they were like, holy crap, this. So they added it. So they added just a shadow of a nose to your peripheral vision in some of these games, and it immediately fixed most people's nauseous feeling going into the game by around 80%. And they're like, good Lord, who knew that a freaking shadow of a nose is the thing that's been holding some of this VR stuff back? And it was like, well, how? Like, really, you need a person on the outside thinking of this stuff. So
yeah, very true. Somebody
obviously asterisk, double asterisk. Obviously, it doesn't work for everybody.
I was gonna say, how big was her nose? But yeah,
some people aren't born with a big one.
if I really strain, I can see mine. But yeah. So anyway, I love these little stories about some of my favorite games and some of these stories behind the development of them. So I really liked that. Wanted to share that because it's kind of funny and also just kind of a great example of how things come together and how ideas, like, he probably put all this stuff. Yeah, he put all this stuff on there, and all she's doing is playing with it and having a blast, and he thinks we failed, but people love doing stuff. Like, you have entire games now in virtual reality where that's all you do is just mess around with stuff. Like, there's no objectives. And so, yeah, people love that. So that was kind of almost like the first sandbox, I guess. Regis Mandrake says, I played the original Deus Ex in 2012. I can understand why it is much loved, but I found it hard going at times. I preferred Deus Ex Human Revolution. Yeah, it was, I would argue that it was before its time. Like, just what they were trying to accomplish with that game was held back by technology. And, like, I think it was even before the WASD control scheme was standard. And so, if I'm not mistaken, like, it's one of those games where when I fire it up, I have to go into remap the controls. So it's WASD instead of using the cursor keys. And, yes, it is clunky and awkward to control. I'm not going to lie. And so, if you haven't played it, I'm not saying everybody needs to go back and play this game. I'm just saying, like, it was meaningful for me, and just the design of the game is fantastic. I think they should remaster it. Honestly, I think they should put out a new version of it, because so many moments of these conspiracies going on and not knowing who you can trust, and then this organization that you're a part of, suddenly they consider you an enemy, and so you have to sneak through your own, office building where you were, or, the police building where you were working, and the people who were your allies are now your enemies, and you can't let anyone see you, and so you're sneaking around. Like, there was just so many cool moments in that game. I had many, many late nights playing Deus Ex. So anyway, like, not necessarily, going to be everybody's cup of tea, but in terms of game design, I loved it. And it spawned a pretty good series of... Notional says there is a remaster of Deus Ex. I did not know that. Okay, Deus Ex Revision. Bobcat says Deus Ex was disturbingly prophetic in ways. Yes, it was. Absolutely.
Yep. And and we're not even, like, we're seeing more and more of this stuff. And it's just like, wow.
And Terra K.
Like, really.
Yeah. Terra K, Deus Ex is still one of the greatest games of all time to this day. Yeah. And it was my introduction to the cyberpunk genre. So I have loved the cyberpunk genre since I played that, but I didn't know what it was called. I did not know it was called Cyberpunk until many years later. So, all right, I think that's all we have for tonight. It was a pretty good show.
Yeah.
Considering that news was a little bit thin, I feel like that went fairly well. But anyway, we thank you all for joining us, taking some time out of your Wednesday or Thursday, depending where in the world you are, to sit with us as we talk about all the things we love to talk about, video games and nerdy stuff, and give you our take on the latest news. So thank you for the awesome discussion in the chat. Thank you for slamming that like button. If you haven't already, please do that before you leave. We really appreciate that. It tells YouTube that you appreciate this content. It also tells us that you appreciate this content, and we really appreciate that. Thank you, Anthony Sarber. I really appreciate the comment. Also, subscribe and slam that notification bell if you want to see when we are putting out new videos. I want to thank our Big Damn Heroes on Patreon, Old Man Manson, and our 2 anonymous supporters. Our channel members, Jason Gropper, Mr. Padzernick, Jer Schultz, Game Notes, Paul Young, and Night City Punk. If you're listening after the fact on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, or any of the other platforms this podcast goes out to, we appreciate your interactions there as well. And don't forget, you can join the live show on YouTube on Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings, where you can interact with us and other listeners and be a part of a discussion. See the Discord server for the exact times and schedules, and also join for awesome conversations. The Augmented Reality Podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash Shaninity. On behalf of Cybsidian, thank you all so much for listening. We'll talk to you all again very soon.